This is Mark's watching with your latest episode of Mornings with Mook. We're going to start off with the PGA Tour. Probably for a lot of casual fans, I don't think you probably realize that the FedEx Cup starts this week, and that is a problem. Now, there's certain things they could not help. It is an Olympic year. And in an Olympic year, so many casual eyes comes to the television, and it's non-sports fans interested in stories. And for the PGA Tour, they just don't have the person, the golfer, that can galvanize both hardcore golf fans and casual fans to want to know more. That's nothing against Scotty Scheffler and those type of guys, but golf does not have a personality that's an overarching personality that makes people want to come and get more. And similar to NASCAR, the question is, did this sport ever need some sort of championship at the end? If Scotty Scheffler does not win the FedEx Cup, no one is looking at it as the Jets beating the Colts in the Super Bowl. No one's looking at it as North Carolina State beating Houston for the national championship. It doesn't carry that weight. They'll say Scotty Scheffler is the best golfer. Oh, blah, 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 won the FedEx Cup. It doesn't move the needle. It doesn't have it. I'm just wondering if there's a better way of doing these things than to have a champion, because having a champion does not impact every sport the same, especially when you're talking about individual sports. I think it's a lazy take to blame it on Liv. I don't think this is a Liv issue. I don't think if you had the Liv guys here that the coverage would be any different. So I think that's a lazy argument. I don't think Liv is the end all of end alls the way people have this Chicken Little type of reaction when Liv Golf came into being. Those guys, I don't begrudge them for taking the money. I've said this a million times. I don't begrudge them for leaving. And I don't have a problem with there's a consequence to leaving. But for the PGA Tour and golf as a whole, a sport that grew during COVID, more people were playing golf during COVID. COVID actually helped golf grow. The PGA Tour has to find a way for that to transfer into ratings and interest. So, as most of you know, in 2028 in Los Angeles, and this is ironic that it's in this place, there will probably be no Olympic boxing. And you have to ask yourself, again, an individual sport and what has happened. And part of it is, I blame the United States on this one, because the U.S. Boxing Federation has been so poorly run. And when you take that in with how society changed, on how we look at amateur boxing, and how there is not that pathway from U.S. Olympic boxing into the mainstream of boxing itself. Boxing has widely become a event sport. Whether it's pay-per-view, whether it's a particular fight on ESPN, so on and so forth, it's an event sport now. It's marketed different, and rightfully so, than it was when I was growing up, when every Saturday I could turn on the afternoon and either Sports World on NBC or Wild World of Sports on ABC, or I forget what it was technically called on CBS, would have a boxing match. And sometimes it was live, sometimes it was a replay of a big fight that was on what was it called, a closed circuit from the week before, and those type of things. But now it's gone, and what has affected amateur boxing has affected professional boxing. And right now we're just in an era where there's a handful of fighters that people care about. When I talk about people, I'm talking about casuals. I'm not talking about boxing fans. I watch boxing all the time. I was watching the replay of Leo and Lopez a couple days ago. But for casual fans, and similar to golf, there's not anyone who captivates boxing, especially here in the States. I know you have Canelo, who has impressive numbers, but those numbers need to be curated a bit. We have not seen people grab casuals to boxing since probably Floyd Mayweather Jr. And a lot of that was because people wanted to see him lose. It's actually the early career of Cassius Clay and Muhammad Ali that history usually gets revised. That a lot of people were there because they wanted to see a boxer come in there and shut him up, and that translated into eyes, which ended up being profitable for the sport. But to see Olympic boxing go away for someone who used to watch the U.S. Olympic trials and all this sort of stuff is sad. But I also understand that it has been a long time, maybe since the Atlanta Olympics, since I've really seen people care about Olympic boxing. So that seems to be the inevitable path that it was going down. And speaking of the Olympics, breakdancing, which I am both happy and sad that it isn't in the 2028 Olympics. The happy part of me that is not there is because the Australian performer, it was a mockery. And this comes from a guy, I'm sure you guys can kind of feel my age. This comes from a guy who grew up when breakdancing was being born. So I saw how it kind of grew and how it was cultivated throughout the years, and that early portion of it when I was in junior high school. Yes, there were junior high schools back then, not middle school. Junior high school, all the way up. And it was an art form. Now, did I do it? No. I was not a break dancer. I'll be more than happy to admit that. But the growth and the skill level and the practice and the effort and the caring and everything that went into people who did do it, I thought was done a disservice by what I saw out there. I'm sad because if the Olympics could do that correctly, and especially in Los Angeles, I think it would have popped off. It would have been the greatest advertisement for that Olympic sport, for that to be taken seriously and done correctly in Los Angeles. It would have blown up. But for now, it's going to be a missed opportunity because it was so mismanaged in Paris, and it just wasn't on display in the art form that it could have been. And I'm sad for that missed opportunity. Thank you for joining me on Mornings with Mook. I am Marcus Washington. Please join us on everything social media, MTC with Mook. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel and Making the Cut with Mook. This is Marcus Washington. Have a good day.